Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Jared Grebner Show. This is Scott Kirker, along with Metamore head coach Jared Grebner. Coach, kicked off your season last Friday night over at the stadium against Peoria High. Peoria High presented a lot of problems. An incredibly large offensive line and some really good speed.
Mm-hmm. They're a well-coached team. They had some big bodies up front. Great running back, great skill players, and so they present problems all over the board, offensively and defensively, because it's a look that you normally don't see.
I thought that it took a while to kind of adapt to their speed. Defensively, very, very difficult to simulate that kind of speed in practice, and that kind of lagged behind. But I thought offensively, your kids did some really nice things.
Yeah, it took a while just to get accustomed to some things, the game speed, just being opening night and everything like that. But I thought the offense adjusted really well. They started to get on track a little bit. Defensively, we put them in a hole sometimes, especially score-wise, but they did a good job responding.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought your kids, there was a moment in that first quarter where your kids could have packed up the tent and it could have gotten really ugly. And it didn't. Your kids came back and scored and went down. I believe it was 14-0 at the time, and they went down and scored, got the 2-point conversion, made it 14-8. You're back in the ball game. But the thing about when you play a team with that size and that kind of speed, you can have a really good first down, which we did. We got the sack. I think it was Ben Wallace got a sack. You forced them to throw an incomplete pass because of a nice rush and good coverage. And then on third down, you just barely over-pursued, and the kid was gone for 75 yards.
That was a situation where they ran counter back to us, and we didn't fit quite right. With our linebackers, we fit a little bit too wide in that situation, and when you give them open space, it's hard to tackle. In the open field, I believe we barely missed one in the open field right there on that. Long down and distance situation, and of course that leads to a big play.
Yeah, and it did. And once they got into the open, they were gone.
Yeah.
And I thought that you guys put together then some really nice drives. The other thing that I liked was there wasn't any quit in your team.
Oh, there never is. There's always going to be mistakes, things that we have to clean up, but their effort and everything is something that you never have to question.
Sure. I thought, some of those things that you just mentioned, you'd have to be really proud and happy with. It was a nice night, one of the nicest opening nights I can remember. Nice crowd from Metamore, real nice crowd. And I think you'll continue getting those crowds. And then, then there was, a little bit of craziness. And I think, let's move on to, your upcoming game here against LaSalle Peru. This is the second half of a 2-year contract you have with them. You beat them, I think it was 14-7 last year up in LaSalle. One of the neatest stadiums is I can't remember what the name of their stadium is. Is that Frank Fellows or something like that?
It's escaping me.
Yeah, but one of the neatest stadiums in the state, and you got to go up there and play, which was nice. Got the win, which was huge. They come back down to our place this year.
Yeah, and we're looking for a good home opener. It's senior night. Hopefully we'll get a good crowd. Hopefully the weather cooperates with us again, and hopefully we can come out and do what we need to do and play some more football.
You talk about the weather. Last year I think either it was close to 100 degrees or it rained every single Friday night that we played. You can't get much better than what we had this past Friday. The sun was glaring down in our eyes, but other than that, the temperature, once the sun went down, the temperature is perfect. And I think it's going to be very similar this coming Friday night. But you're right, it's senior night. And, I like that first home game having senior night.
It's always something that you debate, having it the last game of the season or the first. And it always seems like that last game, we didn't always get to honor the seniors the way we wanted because, you take a chance with weather. It's a little bit colder. It can sometimes rainy. There's more of a chance for injuries at that part of the season. And so to do it at the beginning of the year, we thought was a good move all the way around. And, we're just excited for another opportunity to get back out on the field.
When you look at this LaSalle team, what are they? Are they going to be a physical team? Are they going to be more finesse? Is it a combination? What is it?
LaSalle Peru is a physical team. I think, ever since I've watched them, even when I played them in high school, they have always been a physical team. They just have that blue collar work ethic and everything, and they're going to get after it. They like to run the ball, but they're very opportunistic when they take their shots down the field and on the perimeter, trying to get their explosive plays. And so we're going to have our hands full.
They come off a win against United Township, I believe 31-21.
Correct.
And so they're 1-0. We're 0-1. But this is a great opportunity playing them on Malone Field.
And the one thing about these players they're really resilient. They'll bounce back. They'll be hungry. They'll be looking to improve every day in practice, and hopefully all that can pay off on the field on Friday night.
Yeah, it's always kind of a trademark of Metamora teams that each week you just seem to get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And you got to remember, last week you played a team that you almost had to be perfect to beat them. And that's just not going to happen at the high school level. It doesn't ever really happen at the college level. And, to get that mindset that, okay, you know what, we played last week, we made some mistakes, we did some good things, but we made some mistakes. We just got to get better in practice. Is that an easy thing to do with any team, but particularly this team?
Yeah, because they're all willing to be coached. They love to be coached because they all want to be doing the right things. They hold each other accountable too, which is good. They help each other out and talk through things, solve problems. And so when you have players that are willing to get better every single day and are receptive to coaching, they only want what's best for the team, and they're going to do whatever they can to make this team successful.
The other thing I like about coming back this week is whatever went wrong last week, you've got another chance this week to come back and atone for anything that didn't go right. And you just got this feeling that this team's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, there'll be some ups and downs. Sometimes it's a roller coaster ride. That'll happen throughout the season. It'll happen throughout the course of a game where you'll have some good plays, you'll have some bad plays. But the goal is to just keep minimizing the bad plays. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You strive for it, but let's just face it, it's not. There's going to be mistakes. And so just continuing to minimize those, get better, take a step forward each and every day in practice, and then with each and every game. And, hopefully all that hard work will start to pay dividends.
A few years ago, we did a preseason show where we had Pat Ryan, the current coach, was in the press box, and we brought back John Helmick, we brought back Chuck Leonard, the scout, and we had Marty Stromberger in there. And so you had with the exception, Rich Kaler wasn't there, but you had close to 40 years worth of coaches in the press box, and it was pretty neat night. But I just remember a story that Marty Stromberger said that he was in the locker room. They were playing Chillicothe, and they were really, really good. And he said it wasn't a particularly good first half. And he said, "You guys are playing like a bunch of 17-year-old kids." And the kid in the back raised his hand and said, "Coach, we were mostly all 16 and 17 years old." And sometimes you lose focus of that a little bit. You expect them to be perfect because you watch that on Sundays, and you watch some pretty good plays on Saturdays, and you forget that they are 16 and 17, maybe 18, but
and some of them, it was their first time starting. You get that first game under your belt, that game experience, the speed of the game at the varsity levels is just a little bit different than some of them may be accustomed to. It's hard to simulate game night at practice. It's just different being underneath Friday night lights, and they're all just looking forward to another opportunity. These Friday night lights, and you're only guaranteed 9, and sometimes not even that, but you just got to look at that, and those are precious moments. Those are precious times for those individuals, for all the athletes, for cheerleaders, for the marching band, because those are days that you don't get back.
Right, and for those senior parents too, who that's a precious time for them to watch their kid play. Change gears a little bit. When you look across the Mid-Illini Conference, was there anything Friday night that shocked you?
You never know what's going to happen on opening night. Everybody's trying to replace players from the previous year, and you don't know how people are going to respond. And so I'm never really shocked by opening night because one, like you said earlier, you're dealing with 16, 17, 18-year-old student athletes, and so you always just go out there, put your best foot forward, and then you can kind of see where the chips fall from there.
When you look across the Mid-Illini Conference, you see that Pekin won, Dunlap won, everybody else in the conference lost. So it just kind of goes to show there's some pretty good parity, throughout the state of Illinois with other teams, and we look at ourselves as being a really good conference, and we are, but you got to come to play every Friday.
Oh, definitely. There's going to be opportunities for every single team in the Mid-Illini to try and get a W every single Friday. Everybody's has well coached teams, and they're all doing a good job each and every night, and so you better come to play.
Well, Coach, we'll let you get going here. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'm looking forward to the home opener Friday against LaSalle Peru, and we'll see you Friday night.
Well, thank you. And it's always going to be electric on Malone Field.
Yes, it will be.